and then we're going to save 21,000 pounds of carbon dioxide a year. Huge. This is the home in neighboring Cape Creek here. Just some of the awards that I've won. What I would like to make to you is to think about what you can do for Carefree in the future. To me, all cities should look at building green, requiring more green things in their building. There's a lot of different approaches to take to it, but we all have to think of the future. And, you know, there again, looking back 11 years ago, I really didn't understand, I think, the implications. Then we were just trying to figure out how to save 10% on our electric bills. And now, the one in Goodyear is 0. The one on Scottsdale Road, we don't have solar panels on it, but we are certified at 51% of the normal energy usage of a home that size. And because that's a healthcare facility, that's an extra $2,500 to the bottom line. You know, I think as communities we need to promote green vision and promote sustainability, and if you do, you'll reap profits. So once again, I'm going to ask the question, you know, what will it cost for your towns to go green versus what's it going to cost if you don't? It's one of those things that we just have to think about. Do you have any questions? Yes, sir.
Microphone?
Yeah, right.
I've got a couple of questions. First of all, you mentioned the savings of carbon emissions. Is there some way to sell those in the carbon tax scheme of things? And then the second question I have is, I have an indoor pool, and the dissolved solids build up in it. And I was wondering if there's some method of using that water from the pool for irrigation and taking the irrigation water and running it into the pool as fresh water and replacing it. Thank you.
Wow. Well, the first question, what was the first question? I'm sorry.
The carbon tax credit.
You know, I'm not familiar with that on residential. I know that in the commercial world, they're working on that. I don't know if it is in the residential world. As far as irrigating your home with your pool water, I don't think that would be a problem, other than the chlorine might kill the plants. So it depends on what you're using to keep the water purified. I know I read the paper up here, so I know that your water costs are quite high here. But as far as running that out, watering your plants with it, versus and putting new water in your pool, certainly a possibility. Now, in construction of new homes, that brings up a topic of gray water. It's very simple to, when you're planning on building a new home, to actually put in 2 sewer lines. One sewer line for gray water, which is the water coming out of your sinks and your shower, and you can utilize that for irrigation of your plants. I've looked into rainwater collection, but in our area, in my opinion, it rains so infrequently and sporadically that we have to have very large storage tanks, and I'm not sure that's very cost effective. I think it's better just to use zero escape landscape that doesn't use a lot of water. Yes, sir.
Tom, your examples up here showed new construction and how you go about that. What about retrofitting 12-year-old houses?
Well, there's some very easy things in retrofitting. I mean, everybody talks about compact fluorescent light bulbs. That's the first thing to do. And actually, they come in different colors. So if you've seen them, the yellow ones that you don't like, they actually have white ones also. You may not be able to get them at Home Depot, but you can get them at the lighting places. If you're looking at replacing air conditioners, there again, I said earlier, I believe that most, if not all, air conditioners are probably way too large for their home. For example, the net zero home that I did in Goodyear, I had 9 air conditioning companies told me I had to have 12 tons of air conditioning for this house. That's 400 square feet per ton. That is the same rule of thumb that we were using in 1985 on homes that were 2x4 construction and clear glass. I set them down and said, something's wrong with your calculations. I did sit down with a trained official and 1 air conditioning company, and we had only 6 tons of air conditioning in that house. 50% of what 9 companies told me that I needed. First of all, that costs a lot less money to put in, and it'll cost a lot less to operate. I think we can actually do it on 3 tons. So we're actually going to shut off, they're dual compressor systems, so we're actually going to shut off the larger compressor and see how far we can go in the summer, which is 3 tons of air conditioning. Solar hot water. Right now, you can put a new solar hot water system on your home after tax credits for about $2,000. A friend of mine called me the day before Christmas. His 80-gallon tank was leaking in his house in Paradise Valley. The plumber wanted $2,000 to replace his 80-gallon electric water heater. The next day, he had a solar hot water heater in his house for the same money. And he hasn't even turned the electric onto it. It has electric backup, but since Christmas, it's produced plenty of hot water for his family. Look at windows. If you need to replace windows, make sure the windows are tight, make sure the doors are tight. So there's little things that you can look around and do. Any other questions?
Yes, hay bale walls and so forth, is that considered green?
Yes.
Is it cost effective though?
I grew up on a farm. So, friends of mine built the first straw bale house in Scottsdale. I prefer to build mine out of block. How's that?
The school down the road here has it.
Yeah, right, I know. But like I say, I grew up on a farm around straw and hay. I prefer to have something a little more substantial. Cost-wise, typically in straw bale homes, the straw is not a structural item. It's a post and beam structure, and they're simply using the straw bales to close in the walls. But correct me if I'm wrong on that. Yes, ma'am.
Are there some new ways to reduce the evaporation from pools that are convenient and cost-effective?
Not that I'm aware of. Empty the pool.
What about on that home you built with the 4 casitas?
It is in the courtyard. I did talk to him about putting a cover on it, and I think covers are probably the best thing to do. Not only does it keep the evaporation down, but keep the pool warmer earlier in the year, and also keep a lot of the dirt out of the pool. So in the past, the home I had here in Fairfield, we actually had an electric powered cover that we could close and open when we wanted to use the pool.
That's not very energy efficient.
Why is that?
Using more electricity.
Well, the motor only runs for 2 minutes to close the lid. Other questions?
I just have one question about electric efficiency. Now, I was in the electronics business. Every time you change energy from one form to another, you lose. I mean, there's no 100% efficient conversion process. So, how does the electric solar panels convert to power that you can use? You can't use 12 volts DC or 100 volts DC on anything. That's what solar panels produce. I've just never asked anybody this question. How do you get 60 cycles AC to your appliances that you want to use?
Presently, most of the systems have a large inverter that's mounted inside the house someplace that converts it. So you're bringing DC voltage down from the roof, converting it to AC, goes through a breaker system. There's a separate meter to show you how much you're actually producing. And then your actual meter for APS is slightly different, that it has an arrow on it so you can see which direction the electricity is going. Now, they have newer systems coming out that I think would be much more efficient, and those systems actually have small inverters on every panel. So you'll actually be producing AC voltage at the panels themselves, which you're not going to have a lot of line loss then getting it into the house. But I've talked to some of the solar companies, and they're not pushing it yet for some reason. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.